Welcome back.
Liquid smoke.
Welcome back to the Backyard Basketball Podcast. I'm Braden Dalla-Coleman. I'm joined by Christian Steck. We're back. We're going to talk some more basketball.
What else are we going to talk about on this podcast?
Backyards, I guess. We haven't talked about backyards, but you can get... Hey, I was at IKEA today. You can get some really nice indoor plants because it's like winter. I remember going to look for like palms in the summer. Cool. Yeah. There's like so few options.
We can talk about basketball.
Let's talk about basketball. All right. So I didn't get to watch any game this week. I know you followed some, but I want to touch on a big game between our two favorite teams, Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors played
yesterday.
Last night. Yeah, Sunday night. So unfortunately, the Raptors couldn't pull out the win. But if you're looking at the box score, they were pretty well within like 2-3 points each quarter until the fourth. It looked like Boston just took off.
They didn't take off. It was just a run. Boston had a run, but the Raptors were in it that whole game, man. They really were.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think Scotty Barnes had like 21 points. They're missing rebounding right now. Kemba Birch is injured.
And you know what? Like sometimes when I look at it, I feel Precious looks a little lost on this team right now, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
Like I feel, because you hit the nail on the head. That's the exact sentiment that I had watching the team last night, is that there was just a couple extra rebounding possessions that Boston were able to capitalize on. I'm not saying that Boston has like way more size than the Raptors. It's actually pretty equivalent when you look at the two teams, but I don't know. It just, Precious, he just looks a little off sometimes.
And with the rebounding, it's like that's something that you want them to be able to do, especially on the offensive zone.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if our guys aren't making shots, if Freddie's going, 1 for 10, then I just, it's great to be able to get rebounds, but you shouldn't have to, especially in the offensive zone, specifically in the offensive zone.
What's funny? Your thought just there, I would disagree with you somewhat. And it's like a point that I want to allude to later on in the podcast. Because it was an interesting statistic I found this weekend in regards to that thought that you just made. If you guys are just making your shots, you don't have to go for, say, that rebound or whatever, right?
I'm not saying don't go for it. I'm saying high percentage shots.
It's not as much of a priority.
And if you've got high percentage shots, that includes guys down low. Like if a guy's down low and you're going to take a wild shot, well, you've got a higher percentage of it going in or getting a rebound because the guy's in better positioning or he's down low or,
Totally.
But I am saying, if you're going to make shots, if the player running includes taking a shot, then your immediate goal is to make sure that shot goes in. Part of the game, I'm not disagreeing with you. Part of the game is to be able to continue the play if it doesn't go in and there's a rebound. But
what you would also agree that there's this trend in this league recently where we've been pushing into a direction of more jumpers, more 3-point shots.
Yes,
extending the range.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that plays, also into a role maybe of what you're saying and maybe what coaches are thinking or organizations in regards to prioritizing having players that just have a high caliber and efficiency of making shots.
Oh yeah.
But you know what, dude, what I would say, like the biggest highlight, honestly, from that game, well, one, Tatum was so off. Like he had like one of the worst games of the season, couldn't make a shot to save his life. Brown was also kind of hit and miss, but Scotty Barnes really, like, he stands out. Like when you watch him play that game, and I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, rookie of the year this year, and there's a high caliber of players that are in the league that were drafted this season, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Cade Cunningham with the number 1 overall pick, Jalen Green out in Houston, Evan Mobley, one of our personal favorites in Cleveland, and then Scotty Barnes coming in at 4. And then, I mean, Suggs, he's a great player too. But I honestly think those 4 guys, have this higher level of steam. But you think, okay, that's a deep talent pool. What is, when we look down the line, going to be the player that really stands out and surpasses amongst the rest? And I can see Jalen Green definitely doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The other player, when I actually look at those 4 that really stands out, and I was seeing even moments of that on Sunday night, is Scotty Barnes. Like, I think this guy could probably potentially be, I think he can probably be one of the top 10 players in the NBA at one point.
Yeah,
like I really think that's
you.
his ceiling.
I'm absolutely with you. I think,
and they were even talking about that night. There's like a freedom, like the guys, the commentators were saying, compared to college, there was a certain freedom that he couldn't have that he's getting with the, ironically being drafted by the Raptors. He may not even have had that freedom if he went to Orlando, but he has this freedom not only in the NBA but also in this Toronto Raptor team.
It's really exciting. It's so exciting and when you look too at guys like that who have come into the organization with the Raptors, it's like, God, it's like you can count them on one hand.
Yeah.
So to be able to start from scratch and to be able to say, yeah, wow, he's 19 and he's putting up some crazy, and it's not even just points. It's the way he plays. It's the defense that he's got. It's the flat. It's the flair. It's the, he's fun. He's funny. And there's a charisma, there's personality. It's what makes the NBA so tantalizing, so infectious. So, like you want to watch because of these people. It's something that the NHL is seriously lacking. They don't have those kinds of characters or caricatures. You're seeing why in the NBA it's so valuable.
Totally. And it's also kind of unique too. The NBA has that advantage compared to some of these other leagues that we think about in sports, because you have just a small pool of individuals.
Yeah.
So there's even more of a platform for them to stand on. You're not on a team with 20 some other guys, 25 other guys or whatever. So, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. It's awesome. He does have that charisma, and I think there's a leadership quality, and he's yelling, communicating on the floor, even at the young age, holding other guys accountable. And it's awesome. And I think, the team has just, again, it's another reminder of so much future. It honestly is a bit discontenting for me watching this, because my Boston Celtics just have kind of fallen from this potential precipice of grace, I feel like, in a lot of measures, because I see these two teams, the Boston Raptors, not being too far off from one another. And what they have, you've got maybe more proven, players, but at the end of the day, when you look at these two teams, maybe over the course of their tenures, as they, play out over the next few years, it's competitive. It's really competitive. So I'm thinking for my Celtics, like, what the hell? We need a bit more, I think, variety and veracity to get, I think, a bit better identity and culture that I really like seeing the Raptors are moving in the future.
It's hard for the teams that are like a really, really good and they have what it takes to potentially be a championship team, like the Boston Celtics could have been, like even 2-3 years ago.
Just bad.
But what's unfortunate is that when they fall, they're just there and then they fall, but they don't fall like the Raptors or the Warriors did, to be able to get like a top lottery pick to really inject some life back into what that mission was, right? With the Raptors though, right now, they fell from grace, but there's kind of a new mission now, and that's okay. In Boston, it's like, well, Brad Stevens is still there. He's still the GM now. And you've got a lot of those pieces. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are still arguably some of the best players in the league. Two of, if not, like in the East, that's a Batman and Robin. I won't let you decide who's who, because
dude, that statement is
5 from the 3 last game.
That statement is the conundrum of the Boston Celtics. What you said just there.
Who does
that's the
Marcus
issue?
Smart? Marcus Smart's the Penguin, and they need to get rid of him. But dude, Jason Tatum had 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists. So yeah, he had a dismal shooting, but he almost had a triple-double.
Yeah. 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 Well, you know what? And that's kudos to him to know, like, okay, I don't have my touch tonight. I'm not getting the shots I usually make. Where can I put my effort and energy elsewhere to still be a contributor to my team?
Yeah.
So, that's great character, and, also great character for the team. And, with Ime Udoka as a new coach, I love his energy on the sidelines and how he's engaging with the players. I agree with you. I think it's almost at the point we got to move Marcus Smart, but yeah, we need some sort of shakeup of voices to see a new, frontier and goal that I think all these guys can work towards achieving. I think that's like maybe the challenge right now, is there's no clear vision or goal.
It's hard.
I don't know.
They're kind of at a crossroads. Well, not at a crossroads, but they're kind of at like a standstill.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something though? You're not gonna like this.
All right.
This is not to be mean. I love Kemba Walker, but I'm really grateful he's not on my team anymore. I don't know if you just saw the news recently, but Tom Thibodeau completely dropped him from the lineup. He's not even like playing the reserve role. He's not playing, period.
What?
Kemba Walker in New York for the Knicks. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Kemba because he's from New York, people. In case no one knows, this player is from New York, and he comes back to New York after being at Charlotte, was on Boston with my team for a few years. He just blew out his knees. He's a small guy, and he's just Father Time's kind of biting him in the butt right now. I don't know, man. It sucks.
What is happening with Kemba Walker?
It sucks, but
we're struggling. Kemba Walker. How bad has he been struggling? Like
he's only been averaging like 10 points or something like that. They just, stats have been kind of
shit. Kemba, no, Kemba. So
maybe he can reinvent himself.
He's out. He's not there. They didn't waive him or anything, did they?
No, they haven't waived him. No, he's just, like Thibodeau was like so nonchalant about it in the press conference. I was like, no, he's not. Can't play. And, he's like, I love the guy, and I know it's a hard decision, but yes, makes the best decision for the team. That's his job.
Right. That's
coach.
Right. And Tom Thibodeau's a seasoned professional. He knows how to make things work. That's challenging.
And be respectful.
Challenging. I have a hard time. That's a hard pill to swallow. I so hope that he can bounce back. That's all I got to say. I believe in Kemba Walker, man. I believe in him. I think that he was in tough times in Charlotte. He had nothing around him to help him. And so he was the guy, the go-to guy. And it's funny, he didn't have a serious injury like Derrick Rose did, but that's what happened to Derrick Rose.
Yep.
There was nothing else around him. Carlos Boozer was good, but he was 38, 39. He was an old man by the time he was playing with him. And, when Derrick Rose was getting his MVPs. So he blew out his knees. I'm not saying this is the same scenario. I so hope that Kemba Walker can have a resurgence.
Yeah, well, I hope so too, or reinvent himself. It's such a sad, unfortunate testament to like some of these smaller guys with that explosiveness. And when you get, bitten by injury, just this unfortunate roll of life in the die. I don't know. I cannot think really off the top of my head of some of those guys, like Kemba, like Derrick Rose, like even Isaiah Thomas, out in Boston and his injuries, and John Wall in Houston right now, and,
there you go.
And his injuries. And, he asked actually just a couple days ago, dude, I don't know if you saw this, but he asked like to have a meeting and was like, I want to play, but I want to be a starter. And they were like, nope. We're only going to make you a reserve. And he's like, okay, I'm going to sit out again. Yeah, the Houston one is maybe in some ways a bit of a different story, because maybe these guys are looking just to get more experience for the young guys. And if they tank, a good opportunity for them to get another great pick. But I mean, they get to a certain age, and if you don't have these other skill sets, like a Curry, that has just the multitude of tools in his shooting arsenal, he doesn't need the explosiveness.
Yeah.
He beats to his own kind of metronome and drum and how he moves on the floor. But these guys, it's like, I'm driving to the lane. I'm super fast. The guys of the future, De'Aaron Fox. I'm just kind of thinking, train of thought off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just, it sucks. And I hope maybe, it feels like it's one of those like Achilles heels of going down this path of being this type of player is eventually, you have just this short range and limit. But I hope, like the medicine and the medical field, and as we move forward, find out ways to help these guys, and getting more longevity from these kind of accidents, and they don't lose that. It feels like it's such a big, shave off the top of my skill set. Like I'm out for a year, I come back and it's like, I'm only going to be 80%. You're only going to get 80% of me. And the fact I can't get that last 20 or that last 10 or 15% or even 5%, it's this huge discrepancy where I was a starter in the league. And now Tom Thibodeau's telling me that I can't even play on the team.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you want it to be a kick in the pants to say you are capable of this. Get back to the gym and get back to the basics. Bring it every night like you used to. But there's also the part of it. It's like, father time is catching up a little bit. So it's not that you have to change or reinvent. It's just how do you retool the pieces that are already there to make sure that it fits your game now. Look at what DeMarcus Cousins is doing. He just got signed to the Milwaukee Bucks. He should not be in the league anymore based on how his fall from grace happened. He worked his way back. He's not what he once was. And the teams know that now. They know that he's going to be able to provide, 10 minutes a game and do, he'll get some energy going. He'll get some rebounds going. He might have a nice jumper.
He has the intelligence to know how to play the floor and be in the right place. But
what is it? He was in New Orleans. He was the guy. He was 80, they were in tandem. It was not one or the other.
Him and AD, that was one of the most beautiful pairings before the injury, man.
Yeah.
I wish we could have seen. I felt like those two guys could have, with the right supporting cast, won a freaking championship.
He had just gotten there. He was traded at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
In Toronto.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple more thoughts here. Boston, Toronto. What did you think of seeing Aina's freedom?
I love it. I
think it's cool, man. It's like Meta World Peace 2.0.
Yeah.
We just keep coming back, cycling back. And Enes Kanter has been a really vocal person and political activist. And he's got a really incredible story, just being from Turkey and the traumas and the severity that he's faced in his life.
His family's still subjugated, man, to, I think there's some sort of thing where if he were to come back, he'd immediately be arrested, or his father's been, threatened to be arrested by the government. If anybody wants to learn more, search up Enes Kanter, ENESKANTER.
Freedom.
And
you got to say his last name.
Freedom. He's probably got, of course he has charities and organizations, but you'll find out all this information about Turkey and him, again, just expressing freedom and democracy, when there's a lot of, I think political nuance, and I'm not, no expert of what's going on over there, but I think it's really interesting to learn. And I agree, man. It's cool to see that he's doing that. And he's really embracing wanting to be that kind of individual that talks about this and keeps the narrative moving, which is awesome.
It is great. And so he changed his name because he also officially became a U.S. citizen over the weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fuck,
there you go.
Yeah, props to Enes Kanter freedom. Shifting back to the Raptors.
Yep.
The Raptors announced that Goran Dragic was going to be stepping away from the team, and that he had full
for
support,
personal reasons,
full support from the team, Masai, MLSE. And I don't know, man. What is this? Is this him reconsidering if he wants to play basketball, in terms of he's being, I think he's like 36, or is this the team going, you're a bit of a distraction and you're too expensive? And you've already said you don't want to be here. Thoughts?
That one. I don't want to be here, and I don't want to play with this team and trade me. You're not going to trade me? Okay, then I'm not going to play.
I mean, we kind of knew that. So, the writing was on the wall the minute that he opened his mouth.
Oh, for sure. He spoke from his heart.
But it's hard because he's a quality piece. He's not something you need, but he's something that definitely helps the team. So what
can we do with Dallas to be able to send him to Dallas and get some from him?
a little Slovenia action. Well, just maybe let Luka know he's available. That's, I think, all you got to say. All you got to do. I don't know what they have though. Like,
I'm gonna pull it up right now too.
you know what other basketball stepped away too early?
What? Who?
Michael Jordan. Do you think we'll see Goran Dragic in the league again, or do you think we'll see him in the minor leagues playing baseball?
Does he like baseball? Is this something he's into?
I don't know. He's from Slovenia, and I don't know how much they have baseball over there.
I don't think they have baseball.
Maybe he'll be like a professional goat wrestler or something.
Or maybe he likes riding horses.
The national sport of Slovenia is soccer. So that makes sense. Oh,
yeah. He's probably big soccer.
His brother played in the league too, and he was younger than him. Can you remember what his name was?
His brother?
Goran's brother's name, who also played with him in Phoenix.
Can't do it. I can't do it. What the
try.
hell?
Come on, try. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Zoran
Dragic. I remember that.
Literally,
oh man,
Goran and Zoran.
Zoran Dragic. Okay, so yeah, I don't really know what we could get. Okay, I see Willie Cauley-Stein, Maxi Kleber, Frank Ntilikina. He's on this team. Reggie Bullock, Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway. They're not trained him. Dorian Finney-Smith, Moses Brown, Josh Green, Dwight Powell.
Well, he kind of is the same thing as Birch,
I guess. 6'10". Wow. Isn't he from Canada?
He is. Yeah, we are pretty fond of that shit. I don't know, man. Maybe a pick. I'd take a pick.
Yeah,
I'd take a couple picks in a couple different years.
Yeah, that'd be nice. You get a couple picks and
just load the cupboard, load the closet here. You know, what's I don't know.
I guess you're also
maybe
like
it's not that worth
other assets that you could move around as well too, right? As a package deal, and then go after another piece. But I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm not too sold on Precious Achiuwa after I've seen recently. I feel like they need a real true center, and I don't know
I think if they made a big move for a big center, they would have to move a lot. And I think at the deadline, they might consider doing that.
Who would they?
Well, I think Chris Boucher is on the table. I think obviously Goran's on the table. If Svi continues to, put buckets in, that's a rental guy you could ship off. Malachi Flynn, I think, is on the table for me. He's got to decide whether or not he is an NBA player or not.
I like trading with Sacramento. That's what I like to do.
Do you?
Yeah, I think if you trade for Sacramento, and I would take a run at
Bagley.
Yeah, Marvin Bagley. That's what I would do.
That'd be fun.
I wouldn't ask for over the moon for him, but yeah, like just to move some pieces. And
Bagley for Boucher. You might even have to do Birch as well. Boucher, Birch, and Goran, and then give us whatever other picks help make that salary work. I don't know. I don't really know. The salary is the other part of it. I don't really know what Dallas salaries look like, but I do think that they're going to try to make something happen at the deadline that can propel them into the next season. Yeah, I guess that's always the point, isn't it? But yeah, I do feel like Masai and the team are.
And they're in position this year to actually, I think you're right, do something, make a power play and set yourself up for some future success.
Playoffs?
This year or next?
This year.
I don't think this year.
I think they're definitely out.
Yeah.
Although so in saying that, they're still only like 6 games back from first place.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like that's how tight the East is right now.
Well, I mean, it's tight, but
I do think that, the pattern is going to continue. They're going to have some really, really great nights. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see them win games. with the team they have, because it gives you hope. It gives you optimism for what's to come.
Totally.
But there's going to continue to be the nights where they are right with the other team, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then lose. Like they did against Boston, right?
The 10 teams I'm looking at the East right now: the Nets, the Heat, the Wizards, the Bucks, the Bulls, the Hornets, the Knicks, the 76ers. That's the top 8. Then you got the Hawks, the Celtics. I think those 10 are going to be, in some order, is what we're going to see come playoff time.
And which team will have Goran Dragic?
That's a really good question. I honestly think, in an ideal role, if the Raptors can really get the most out of Goran, I would say they send him west and they send him to a team like Sacramento.
Yeah.
Maybe they send him to a team like the Timberwolves, which have had some better success so far this season. Just a quick note I would love to make is on Anthony Edwards, who I am loving his kind of FU attitude, chip on his shoulder, out to prove something, holding guys accountable, leadership type quality, really wearing his heart on his sleeve, not hard sleeve, but being very just open and raw. And not only is he raw talking about the game, but I feel like his actions on the court too, there's a rawness in how he plays, and I think an amazing potential. I never would have thought, and I feel like the Timberwolves, with all the weird sus things happening behind the scenes before the season even started, in their organization, there seems to be, in my eyes, looking at them now, a level of clarity. I think they should make a move, the Timberwolves, for Goran Dragic, because I don't really see, D'Angelo Russell being a piece of future success for Minnesota, even though he's good friends with Cat. I think he's such a liability on defense, and Goran maybe isn't the best on defense, but Goran has an energy and it could play, and he's playing for a team that, I think has some real opportunity and potential. Maybe he'd be more invested in, I don't know. But Minnesota will definitely, I feel like, make some moves before the trade deadline.
The big ant cat tandem.
The Ordinary Podcasting Network is excited to announce that we have launched a merch store on our website. The store is full of ordinary swag, including t-shirts, hoodies, and hats. You can pick out something awesome and support your favorite podcast today by heading over to ordinarypodcasts.com.
Okay, dude, I gotta tell you something that I kind of looked up this week and it blew my mind.
All right. This sounds fun.
Okay. So I want to take you back.
Oh, shit. Now I'm nervous.
Well, this was just the last week. Do you remember there was a game? It was between the Lakers and the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
So this was it. This game happened last week. It was in Indiana, and the game went to overtime.
Okay.
Was tied. The game went to overtime, and it was like maybe 2 minutes left in overtime. There was this video that popped up after the game of LeBron, immediately after a call, a ref, stop play. LeBron pulled a ref over and pointed at these 2 fans that were sitting courtside and literally told the ref that they need to leave, like kicked him out of the game.
Yeah, I remember this.
So. Right. Okay. So it was a couple. There was a woman and a guy, and the lady, as she walked away on camera, you could see that she put her hands up to her face and was like mimicking kind of like wiping
boo-hoo,
away tears
boo-hoo.
or like, yeah, boo-hoo kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just went off a tangent. It was this weekend and I was like kind of looking into it because you know what? I saw this stupid, I shouldn't have engaged with it, but I saw this stupid headline and it was something about Donald Trump Jr. Called LeBron a bitch or whatever for kicking these fans out of the game. I'm just like, why did I even engage with this? This person's just, nothing. And so it kind of made me look into wanting to read up on it. And I found out a couple things. So one of them, I found out somebody at the game reported what it wasn't. So there was the couple and the woman was the one that instigated it. She said something to LeBron that triggered him. And there was somebody that was at the game that apparently heard what she said.
Is it safe to share? What did she say?
Well, it is. It is safe to share. I would say, maybe discretion if you don't want to, whatever.
All right.
Listen to this moment. But there was two things. So there was that, and then the other thing was I don't want to. No. Okay. So the first thing I'll say, let me go back. So the thing that she said, so some fan that was like sitting behind her, posted this on TikTok right after the game.
All right.
And said that this woman, it was just started off in the fourth quarters. They were just like normal heckling or whatnot. And then it got to overtime and she yelled to LeBron when he was coming back. So he scored a point. He was coming back on the defensive end and she yelled at LeBron, I hope Bronny dies in a car wreck is what she said to him.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Holy shit, man. That's fucked up, man. You can't say shit like that.
Can't say that.
Oh my God.
Can't
How awful. That. So he was
it's so horrible. Kicked her. So yeah, kicked her out of the game. This was the craziest thing. So I saw that, right? I was like, this is like bullshit. This is so bullshit.
So bullshit.
That you would even say something like that. So just, yeah. And so I watched the video to try and like kind of look up the moment right before to see if I could find any like interaction because you could see them on the camera. And it was so funny. I went back to the fourth quarter and I'm watching the last play of the fourth quarter and it's happening on the side where the fans are sitting. So they're closest to that side.
Right.
And this play, if anyone wants to look it up, it's in the fourth quarter. So Indiana Pacers are down by 3 points and the ball goes to the corner and Chris Duarte, who's a rookie, catches the ball and there's a guy in his face and Chris Duarte has to do like the most awkward 3-point shot to tie the game and he hits it.
Whoa.
Okay. Hits this shot. It was a crazy shot. Chris Duarte. It was epic. And you know what the craziest thing was when I looked at this highlight and I looked at it closely? That moment when he went to take that shot. So the boyfriend or the friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Is sitting courtside and I don't know if his buddies, because there's a bunch of young guys. They're all kind of sitting front there. So I just maybe assumed it's a bad presumption on my end, but there's all these young guys here. So he's sitting there and I'm looking for the woman that made that comment. And so what she did is like, as Indiana Pacers are running back to 9 seconds, she gets up, she walks and she has her back to the literal play of Chris Duarte taking the 3-point shot to tie the game. She is not even watching the freaking play and the game that's happening. Now, okay, maybe she got a phone call and she needed to leave in that moment.
With like 0 seconds left in the game.
But I'm like, are you kidding me? So you're not even a basketball fan. You don't even appreciate being there because you're not watching, I feel like, the most, hype moment in the whole arena. And then you make a comment like that. Like
she knows about Bronny. She knows about Bronny.
It made me feel, and again, this is a judgment call at my point, but I was like, this is just an incredibly mean and ruthless person.
That's awful.
To like she's not even there for like true intentions or good intentions. There's some level in her, unless the circumstances where she had to leave, then it's obvious there's some level in her that she was disinterested. And then she says something to try and get something out of LeBron and says the most heinous thing that like out of his whole 19-year tenure has very rarely gone to a ref and been like, no, these people have to leave.
Wow.
So that's my hot take of this week. I couldn't believe it, dude. I just couldn't believe it. I'd love to show you this after.
That sounds just terrible. All of that sounds terrible. And that the fact that the players are subject to that kind of absolute garbage.
It's garbage.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So what happened? What do you do? How do you ratify that?
It's a tall order. It's an ask. Maybe you.
Put
I mean,
boards up.
I like this when we started to see it after, and maybe this is still some runoff of this because there was people that were actually writing articles and having this conversation when we came out of COVID and fans were able to first come in and watch these games. And you had fans throwing water bottles. You had fans coming onto the court and high-fiving the backboard. You had fans, throwing popcorn on players. And it was like all in the span of a couple of weeks. And all of us were like scratching our heads. Like, why is there such a surge of poor behavior of civilians within a public space?
Yeah.
And, there were some people that were discussing, basketball analysts, fans, whoever were discussing that, well, maybe some of this is this runoff of us being pent up for so long because of the pandemic.
I don't know, man. You and I both have been to Indiana.
Hey, Indiana's I love Indiana. It's an amazing city, has some amazing food. If you're ever there, there's a great breakfast joint. I can't think off the top of my head, but man, they have great omelets.
Just some terrible people.
Oh, come on.
I shouldn't say that. There's just one.
What if people are listening to our pod, man, from Indiana? Indiana people listening to pod.
Okay,
Chris loves you. No, keep his part in. Chris loves you. He loves you, and he's got your back. So
you love Indy.
Yeah, I love Indy. But the thing that did happen from that experience, though, is that you had security, police, whoever that like would put up with no shit. Like people were getting kicked out. People were even going to court for some of the things they did, which is great. They should be held responsible for their actions.
Yeah.
And so hopefully maybe it's unfortunate because Russell Westbrook was at the game and he was actually standing by there when the incident took place and they were getting kicked out. And I don't know if you remember this, but I think Russ was in OKC and there was some person or whatever that made some, and I can't even remember what the comments were. I think it was some sort of racist comment. I thought it was towards him or his wife, or it seemed to be very like it really transgressed a line. And it's bullshit. And it's unfortunate.
I thought you were going to tell me that Russell Westbrook got a tech off of this for some reason. Like he's always kind of on the outs with what's happening between LeBron and everyone else. And he's the one who keeps getting.
If I ever went to a Lakers game, I'd hold up a sign and I would say, liberate Russ from text or something like that. Cause that needs more attention. Like it's a little BS. That you guys are calling a guy maybe from past transgressions, but I believe Russ is a more resolved NBA player.
Okay, let's talk about the Suns.
Okay, we'll talk about the Suns.
So there's 17-0 in the last how many games? They're 17-0 in the last 20 games.
They have it. Yeah, what I'm seeing, they got a 16-game win streak. Dude, they're incredible. I remember people talking last year in the playoffs and the finals, and they were saying that the Suns aren't going to get a chance like this again. This was Chris Paul's kind of like.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yep. But you know what? So long as Chris Paul is on that team, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if they're saying it's because Chris Paul, what's changed? The team hasn't changed all that drastically. They still have a lot of what they had. Jay Crowder's still there. Cameron Payne's still there. Saric is still there. Although I think injured because Saric and Nurkic, they're always somehow injured. Yeah. I mean, Nurkic has it way worse, I think. But anyway, Phoenix Suns. Man, we picked them on the pod with Ray and Benny. Forgot to mention that we had a little spot there a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Ray and Benny's sports podcast. If you're a big Winnipeg fan or just a sports fan in general, it's a great podcast to check out.
Great guys. Highly recommend.
Absolutely. We had a lot of fun doing that. But we predicted on their show that the Phoenix Suns were going to be the team out of the West. And
no, we didn't say the Suns.
What?
I did not pick the Suns.
I called the Suns.
Maybe you're calling the Suns. I called the Warriors.
Well, it will be the Warriors. It will be the Warriors. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. But we picked the Warriors and we picked the Bucks, and we actually have the Bucks repeating.
Yeah. And you know what? I still stand by that one. No, I stand by. Oh yeah. Yeah. I will ride or die. Guaranteed.
Warriors.
Charles Barkley, that man.
All right. Well,
I think.
Yeah, they're so good. It's going to be really cool to see. When do the Warriors and the Suns play?
That is a great question. I would love to see that.
Friday, December 3rd, dude.
Oh,
wait,
wow.
They play tomorrow as well. Tomorrow at 8.
Everybody, tomorrow at 8:00.
Well, no, it'd be.
Oh yeah, 8:00 Western.
It'd be it'd be yesterday technically. So what'd you think about that game yesterday?
Oh, it was great. It was
we shouldn't talk about that one, but there's going to be a rematch of the game that game.
No, they didn't play yesterday.
Well, when this podcast comes out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Whatever.
What are your predictions? What are your predictions for what happened yesterday?
For what happened yesterday? I'm going. You know what? I'm going to
Warriors or
say in this
Suns?
pod because we'll already know what the results are, but I don't know what the results are right now. I'm going to say the Suns win this game.
Ooh, by how
They
much?
keep the streak alive.
Over under 10.
It's close. It's under 10.
Yeah.
Under 10 points.
Yeah, and I got the Warriors, and I'm saying under 10 as well. I think the Warriors are gonna stomp on this record, this streak that is.
So I read this. I read this article today about that the Suns and the Nets, right? So they played on Saturday.
Yep.
And somebody was analyzing this and brought up this interesting argument, which I wanted to bring to you and get your thought on.
Okay.
So the Suns and the Nets, they played and on Saturday, and the Suns won that game. So they pushed their win streak to 16. But the Nets, despite the loss, they remain on top of the Eastern Conference right now. But the interesting thing is that both those teams' offenses subsisted on a steady diet of mid-range jumpers and floaters. Those in-between shots have partly came to the expense of threes. The Nets ranked 14th and the Suns 25th in three-point attempt rate. But more than that, they've come at the expense of shots at the rim. Only the Mavericks have taken lower share of their field goals within 4 feet of the basket, 24.9%. Then Brooklyn, which is at 26%, and Phoenix, which is at 27.5% shots at the rim. So this article brings this interesting argument that since 2003 and 2004, the average rim frequency has been its lowest. And so the success of teams that are sitting at the top of the league right now. So we look at the Warriors, we look at the Suns, we look at the Nets, we look at the Miami Heat. You could maybe say like 5 of the top 6 teams right now, don't make that not even a priority. It just doesn't get much attention at all. And so this is what I wanted to tie into what you were saying earlier about this priority of having players that have the confidence and the consistency to make those long range shots that you don't have to focus on rebounding. So we're deviating away from rebounding. We're deviating away from getting those shots in at the rim at a higher frequency. We're moving in this different direction in the league. It was an interesting just observation. And I wanted to get what your thoughts were on that. And also maybe, is this direction good for the league? Are we going to see situations where maybe there's pushback and then we move in another direction where we try to promote more of this? Or what are your thoughts?
That's a lot of thoughts. I think that the league as a whole is going to continue to evolve as every other sport has in its own league and way of play. It's faster game. You're seeing more shooting. You're seeing a lot more creativity, I think, when it comes to playmaking than basketball once had. The first thought I had was thinking back to when the Raptors won in 2019 was all of a sudden their 3-point percentage went through the roof, and it wasn't the 3 points they were making. It was the 3-point attempts. It was just like they'd never done that before. And then you're seeing guys start to gain that confidence and shoot. The Warriors, it's a prime example. And yeah, it's Curry, but it's also Klay Thompson, and it's also KD, and it's also these guys.
Jordan Poole.
And he's in that, and that's the evolution. You're seeing a guy who wasn't even in the league when that team was winning, and now he's adopted that kind of gameplay and that kind of strategy. It's
just like that. It's
really great to see, and I think it is good for the league. I don't know necessarily if you want to promote any more of it. I feel like it progressing in a natural way is necessary. You're seeing in the Big Three, Ice Cube's league, the 4-point line or whatever that is, and
4-point spot. Yeah.
So that would be promoting it. I don't think that that's necessary in the NBA. They've even extended the idea of extending the 3-point even further. Yeah. Maybe there's something to consider when it comes to like beyond the half court line, but that's such an anomaly in the game that it doesn't matter. Like it should just, the other way to promote something like that would be fouls and fouls taken. And I don't think that necessarily has to change right now, other than refs, making calls like they should. I think we're seeing a little bit of stretching and growing pains when it comes to adopting these new rules and how the players need to adapt quicker than the natural or the progressive evolution of it. I don't even know what's happening with James Harden. I don't know who he is anymore. And it's possible he doesn't really know who he is anymore, but he's really happy in Brooklyn and he's got his buddies around him. Yeah, I'm happy for him, but it's kind of sucks to see James Harden in Houston was, it's MVP. It's MVP caliber. And I think he's still that guy, but he's in a new system now that doesn't it can't have James Harden MVP ISO only kind of guy. That's just not it. And even if Kyrie was playing with him, it'd be probably even worse for him, right? So I hope that thing sorts itself out. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just lots of changes. It's good for the game. I think it's really good for the game. And I do think that statistic you said about less points at the rim, I think that'll shift. And I think that's going to be a fluid statistic. I don't think that we're going to see it continue to push to one side necessarily.
Well, part of me wonders, because when I think of like, okay, what are some star players that could rack up a lot of points to influence, say, points at the rim? And you think of a young player like Evan Mobley, who could be a prime example of a candidate.
Scotty Barnes even.
Jaren Jackson Jr. Yeah. But the interesting thing is I also find that what make those kind of players so special is that they can shoot from further range. And so there also seems to be this advantage when you're looking at players, what are desirable players or desirable skill sets to have in the league, where this is probably amending to what you're saying of a natural progression, is that it's just this natural influence to see that, myself as Evan Mobley, I'm this really tall player and I have this skill set that I can maneuver almost like a Kevin Durant type. Why do I have to get all my shots at the rim where I may have been, subjected to because that was just the understanding of the league back in the 80s or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I love to just see kind of, some momentums to swing, just to keep kind of, not necessarily like an endangering or an extinction of like a certain type of playing, because I love to see, those kind of players, that kind of style. It's not desirable right now, but hopefully a shift in the future promote something like that. But that was an interesting point. But anyways, I digress. We've been talking a lot.
We should shut up and let the people
have a break.
Enough backyard basketball. And again, we didn't even mention backyards. Well, we talked a little about backyards. We also didn't get a chance to talk about Ben Simmons.
I didn't even want to bring his name up, you son of a guy.
All right, dude. Well, let's do it again next week.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Later.